What's up, guys? It's me, Coach Mills, and in this video, we're going to break down the broken state of Ranked. Or is it actually that broken? You see, Ranked is dramatically different now than it has been in the past, so we need to talk about what skills you need to succeed in Ranked, how you can climb to the rank you want, and does it all even matter now in the new system? There's a lot we got to break down and talk about, but do me a huge solid and smash that like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And our question of the day is, if you could bring an ability from another game into Overwatch, what would it be and why? Let me know down below, and let's get started. Now, we gotta sound the alarms here. Ranked is dead. Ranked is broken. Ranked is unbalanced. And we're seeing a lot of people complain about Ranked. The biggest problem that people are facing is that you are getting players that are just way outside of your rank in your games, right? We see a plat player getting like a random Grandmaster Challenger in their game, and they're freaking out. While there is going to be a huge amount of rank discrepancy in your games, you do have to understand that just because someone has a challenger tag does not mean that they are that for their role that they're playing. Like, you could have someone that is like a GM challenger on one role and they're off-rolling playing a different role. So these players are more likely to play in your games because the MMR is separate per rank. Now, it's not always the most fair if they're like a freaking GM Doomfist player. They will not end up being a freaking plat tracer. Like, it's just not gonna happen after they play enough games. So it can be kind of frustrating if you are going up against someone that is on their obvious MMR climb up the ranks, and because they just decided to start off-rolling now, you're going to basically just get rolled by them for a couple of games. It is a little bit unfortunate, but there's not really much you can do about it besides maybe giving them MMR automatically relative to their highest rank. I don't know how that would be completely balanced because some mains of other characters and other roles, there'll be a lot of transference, and some there won't be that much. Like, you could be a freaking god tier GM Torb. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to play Kiriko worth a damn, but maybe it does, so it's a little bit hard in that regard. Now, we're going to revisit this concept in a second and talk about the fact that there are huge discrepancies in the ranked. But before that, let's talk about ranked inflation, which is a really ongoing topic right now. Everyone is talking about how it's quote-unquote easier to get Grandmaster than ever, easier to rank up now than ever. And there is a couple of truths and a couple of things you need to understand about how the new system is. And as someone who has climbed all my roles to a fairly high level and also climbed other one-trick accounts to a fairly high level, I have a good grasp over what is happening with ranked right now. The first thing is, you got to understand that you are still being put in percentile brackets depending on your rank. Like, if you're in Diamond, you're in about the top 10%. You're in Masters, you're in about the top 5%. You're in GM, you're still the top 1%. It's about the same. It's not like GM is inflating to the point where now GM is 5%, now GM is 10%. We're not seeing that. However, the overall amount of people that are being allowed in GM is bigger because there's more population. There's a lot more people playing the game, so the amount of people that are going to be in it is bigger. And here's the big thing that you need to understand. Every single player that is still grinding Overwatch 2 and they grind Overwatch 1, everyone is going to get shifted upwards because all of the new people that are trying Overwatch 2 for the first time are being injected in the lower SRs because they're new. They don't know as much about you at the game. They haven't been playing the game for freaking 5 years. So when you get like 10 million new players or however many new players, and the vast majority of those players are going in bronze, silver, and gold, everyone else is getting pushed upwards. And that's just what happens. You're going to see a lot of the people that are still playing the game getting pushed upwards. And still, the bulk of the people are not in GM, not in Masters, not in Diamond, but everyone that you know, everyone you've been playing with, everyone that has been grinding the game since Overwatch 1 are all going to be in higher ranks than they were before. And that's just natural. That's just how it's going to happen. So on one hand, you could say, oh, I don't deserve this rank because I just got boosted up because of all these new players. But on the other hand, you are now better than the overall population of people playing this game because there's more of a population. And just like how someone who's been grinding FPSs for 10 years is going to be better than someone that's grinding FPS for 1 year, you've been grinding Overwatch this whole time, and now you're in a better percentile because the game is more popular. That's just it. Flat and simple, and it's just the way it is. Now, going back to the huge differences that we're having in games, and even though not all of this is happening quite to the extent that people think because of the tags, it is happening. Like, you are having games where you could be in high Masters, maybe even GM, and you're getting legitimate like plat players in your games. Now, this plat player probably has a higher MMR somewhere around diamond, but even so, a GM player, GM5 player, getting like a diamond player in their games is crazy discrepancy that we're getting. Now, we are seeing a consistent amount of MMR matching across roles, at least 1-to-1. So if your tank is about Masters, you're typically seeing a tank that is about Masters on the other team. At least the MMR is matching, so sometimes the rank isn't matching, but their true rank or their hidden rank is matching to an extent. Like, we're still seeing like maybe a 1 rank difference, but it's not nearly as bad. But the big problem, I think, or the big thing that's happening in ranked right now is you could be a really high ranked player or a really low ranked player and either be in a higher rank lobby or a lower rank lobby where you are the outlier, which is just a very different experience than we've had in the past. Back in Overwatch 1, when you got Grandmaster, or as you climbed to Grandmaster and once you got Grandmaster, you would typically be thrown into Grandmaster lobbies. So you're a Grandmaster, now you're in Grandmaster lobbies, and it's sink or swim. And oftentimes it would be sink. Now you're in a Grandmaster lobby, and you're not used to it. Everyone's playing better, everyone's performing better, and occasionally you would get thrown slightly above, maybe in like a 4200 lobby, and it would be like pretty brutal. Like, you're like, holy shit, these players are way better than like GM players. And then after you climbed a little bit, you would get thrown into like a 4400 lobby and you're like, holy shit, I don't belong here. I'm a fucking imposter. Like, you would feel that way 100%. But what we're seeing now is when you get GM and start climbing through GM, you're not being put in these crazy lobbies the vast majority of the time because of the pure numbers of it all and the fact that GM players are just less percentile than like the rest. GM players are typically being thrown into lobbies with much lower players. And it will be like a GM player, a couple of Masters, and then like maybe like a Diamond or something on your team. And now, instead of having to sink or swim in a game or a lobby that is all people around your rank, you have to carry harder than their GM. That's the game. It's like, who can carry your team harder? Now, this is definitely a skill. This is definitely a skill that you have to learn, but this is a lot more similar to like a skill you would learn smurfing, trying to like dominate and hard carry bad players, than it is to a skill that you would actually have to play with and against better players. It's like a completely different skill set, because playing with and against better players requires you to play in a way that gets you less punished. It requires you to play in a way that's more strategically sound with less mistakes, and you're going to coordinate a bit more, and everyone's going to have higher skill. But that's not really how it is now. Now it's just like, if you want to keep climbing, you just have to get better at hard carrying the imposter on your squad or the imposters, and you have to get better at stomping players that are worse than you, which is weird. It's just really, really strange. I'm not going up against people of equal skill. I'm stomping people that are worse than me. And if I can stomp harder than you can, then I'm going to climb. And I might get all the way to GM3, GM2, GM1, never actually like outplaying or stomping people that are also GM1. I'm just like stomping on Masters and Diamonds better than other GMs can stomp on Masters and Diamonds or even Plats, which is just a weird, weird situation. It feels like this is Smurf Q. Like, that's what it feels like. Even if you do deserve your rank, you're just trying to smurf or stomp better. I don't know how I feel about it. It definitely is a skill. It definitely is something that you can prove you're better than the opponents, but I don't really like it, personally. I would much rather be put in that sink or swim environment where everyone is high elo. But here's the thing, and this is what I understand. Tank queues are miserable if you do that. We've tried this in the past. This was one of the changes. Tank queues could be 10, 15, 20 minutes long for any tank that is in Grandmaster or above. And I think that that's probably like a unreasonable amount of wait time. And maybe we've gone too far. Maybe we should wait a little bit more for more balanced games, slightly more balanced games. But I really want to pass the question off to you. How do you feel about this system? Do you think I got it nailed down pretty right? Because I have a decent idea about it, and I think that I'm on the right page. But let me know how you feel about it and why down below. But smash that like, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.